Mr. Shelton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just for members of council that are present and the staff and the public, there are a couple of minor amendments to the agenda. The first one is on item 3, the deputation that was to take place by Ms. Michelle Smith of the Women's Support Network of York Region. That one is cancelled. Michelle Smith, unfortunately, is under the weather and will not be able to attend, so it'll be rescheduled, and I think it'll probably be rescheduled for September. Sorry? Oh, sorry, April. April, that's going to take place. The second one is in the Committee of the Whole minutes of March 23rd under item 20. So that's on the hard copy on page 38. Under IV, this relates to the crossing at Ferry Lake. It states currently, and that the design options explore reserving the left turn movements while addressing any safety issues. That should read preserving.
Preserving.
As opposed to reserving. So that there would be options that would preserve the left turn movement for council's consideration. So that would be an administrative correction.
Okay. Good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Curran?
Just another correction on page 40 of the hard copy under new business. Councillor Curran advised that he would be absent from the council meeting on Monday, March the 30th. That is incorrect, Mr. Mayor. I advised that I would not be at the special meeting on Monday from 9 a.m. because I had an OMB hearing. And also, I missed site plan because I was in that OMB hearing all day, except from 9 to 10, and the OMB meeting started at 10. So that needs to be corrected.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Thank you.
So that would be, that was a special committee.
This morning, and then the site plan.
Special committee. Okay, so we can correct that. What time is it? I haven't got my watch.
It's only 6:52.
We still have 5 minutes before the starting of council. Is there anyone here that would like to address council in the open forum section of the evening? This not including deputations? Okay. Okay.
Good evening, and welcome to the council meeting of the Town of Newmarket on Monday, March 30th, 2015. All members of council are present except for Councillor Sponga. Mayor Van Bynen is presiding.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. There are no public notices, and there are no additions to the agenda. There is some clarification provided earlier by our CAO on corrections. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Being none, then we'll go forward with our presentations. Our first presentation is with our recreational programmer and community and special events coordinator, as well as our communications coordinator, to address council with respect to a video clip, the details of the process and the celebration events for the torch relay and the torch bearer presentation for the 2015 Pan Am Games. So Rhonda, if you and Amanda would like to come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council, senior staff, and viewing audience. My name is Rhonda Pogue, and I'm a Community and Special Events Programmer with the Town of Newmarket. I'm here this evening to provide Council with an update on the Pan Am Games Torch Relay and Community Celebration in Newmarket. I'd like to start off by showing a video that showcases the TO 2015 Pan Am Games.
Ready or not, here I come. You can't hide. Ready or not, here I come. You can't hide. Ready or not, here I come. You can't hide.
Thank you. The Toronto 2015 Pan Am Games Torch Relay has invited Canadians to celebrate and share the Pan Am spirit throughout its 41-day journey towards Toronto. The Torch Relay starts May 30th, 2015 and concludes July 10th, 2015 with the dramatic lighting of the cauldron at the opening ceremony in downtown Toronto. Pan Am invited Canadians to participate in the opportunity to be a torchbearer. The torchbearer process consists of 3 levels. Pan Am selected torchbearers such as athlete Simon Whitfield, sponsored torchbearers such as OLG, who is a presenting sponsor. OLG approached the Newmarket Chamber of Commerce to select a torchbearer on their behalf. It was announced on Sunday, March 29th, that Michael Croxon was selected to represent OLG in Newmarket. And our community torchbearer that will be selected within the celebration communities. Within the relay teams, there will be a mixture of Pan Am, sponsor, and community selected torchbearers. On November 10th, 2014, the announcement was made that the town of Newmarket was selected as a celebration community for the Toronto 2015 Pan Am Games, and the Torch Relay would be coming to Newmarket. On March 5th, the date and location of our celebration site was announced. The event will take place on Thursday, June 25th, 2015, at Newmarket Riverwalk Commons. As a celebration committee, we will celebrate and share the Pan Am spirit. Our goal for the celebration activities will be to build anticipation of the games and a sense of pride and excitement for the Torch Relay, showcasing the unique passion of Newmarket to the rest of Canada and the Americas, recognizing local talent and personalities as part of the celebration, stimulating and involving youth, culture, and sport in the community, showcasing heritage and traditions of Aboriginal and Francophone people. More details and information on our celebration will be made available in May. In preparation for the Torch, the town launched a town-wide contest in order to help select Newmarket's community torchbearer. Residents were asked to send a video or picture with a response to the question, how do you demonstrate community spirit in Newmarket, and why do you want to become a Newmarket community torchbearer? The winning community torchbearer was born, he was educated, and has lived his entire life in Newmarket. He demonstrates community through his love of sport and people. He grew up playing minor sports in Newmarket. He refereed hockey for 41 years. His love for sports and the Newmarket community continues as he now gives back as a timekeeper for minor hockey, adult, and senior leagues. He was the founder and organizer of the Newmarket Men's Hockey League and the Over 35 Men's League. He was a firefighter in Newmarket for over 35 years. He has volunteered with the Hospital Foundation and a past member of the Newmarket Vets Association Executive. He currently serves on the Newmarket Sports Hall of Fame Committee and has done so for the past 7 years. It is my pleasure to formally introduce you to our Newmarket Community Torchbearer for the TO 2015 Pan Am Games, Mr. Donald Bond. So over the next few weeks, we will see different initiatives taking place to ramp up the Pan Am spirit for our June 25th celebration. We will be launching our Where's Patchy social media campaign, as well as various other ways to get involved. Thank you again, Mr. Mayor, Council, senior staff, and viewing audience. I look forward to sharing the Pan Am spirit with all of you on Thursday, June 25th. I would like to invite Mayor and Council to the center for a photo with our community torchbearer, Mr. Bond.
Council. Congratulations, Don. Let's go around like this. Putting the fires. Now you're going to run with the torch. All right, take the center here, sir. Right here. There we go. Yep. Go ahead, side you, Tony. No, right in the center. Here we go. Good. There you go. There you go. That's all right. Here, you move up front here. This is good. There you go.
Oh, you look beautiful. There you go. Okay, everybody. 1, 2, 3. Look here. One more. Kill. Snap. 1. Come on. Excellent. You good? All right.
Oh, a little closer. All right, good. Good, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Are we training at the Vegas Center or is it outside?
I'm not sure.
Excellent. Thank you.
On behalf of council, Don, I'd like to extend our congratulations. It's kind of ironic for someone who spent most of their life putting out fires. Now he's going to be running around town with a torch in his hand. Sure. Regional Councillor?
I just thought add a thank you to our staff for the work they're doing on this as well, and a special thank you and a special happy birthday to Rhonda today as well.
Comes to work on her birthday. Good. Great. Thank you. Next item then is a presentation, and I'll ask Lindsay Burwash to come forward to present the recipients of the awards for the secondary school art. And for those members of council who've felt comfortable to come back and sit down again, we'll go back into the center circle once we hear who the recipients are. Go ahead, Lindsay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council, senior staff, and viewing audience. My name is Lindsay Burwash, and I am a recreation programmer of arts and culture for the town of Newmarket. Each year, we invite students from the Newmarket high schools to submit artwork for an opportunity to display them here at the municipal offices. This year, art is being displayed from March 2nd to April 22nd. Tonight, we are here to recognize this year's high school art award recipients. I would like to welcome the mayor and council to the center to congratulate the recipients.
Okay, there we go.
Our first category is acrylic. Cassie Morris from Huron Heights Secondary School for her piece titled Elderly Lady.
Congratulations. Let's stay here, then we'll get a picture of everyone.
For sure.
Members of council.
For dry medium, Winter Parsons from Huron Heights Secondary School for her piece titled Equivalence. Mixed media, Maya Bison from Huron Heights Secondary School for her piece titled James Franco. And for watercolor, Betty Lou from Pickering College for her piece titled Untitled. And unfortunately, Allison Kondo couldn't be with us today, but her piece from Sacred Heart Catholic High School for her piece titled Child at Play under the category of photography. I'd like to thank the students for providing such outstanding work and for the teachers in encouraging their students to participate in this opportunity. Thank you.
We could have the students stand up front, and then council can stand in behind you. Okay, great. Thanks again. Congratulations. Yeah. Good. Now, I think these works of art are on display in our corridors, so if anybody wishes to take a look at them, you're welcome to do so. One thing we can be very proud of is the talent that we have in our community, and I congratulate our recreation and culture staff and the amount of time they take in recognizing the special talents that our students have. Our first deputation is Mr. Brent Copperson and Mr. Josh Gottlieb with respect to the Windfall Ecology Festival. Mr. Copperson, we permit up to 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's a pleasure to be here this evening. Greetings to members of council and staff. I'm joined by my colleague, Josh Gottlieb, who is the Windfall Ecology Festival Director, and I'm here on behalf of Windfall Ecology Center as the founder and also as a resident of Newmarket to announce to you today that the Windfall Ecology Festival, in fact the 14th annual Windfall Ecology Festival, is scheduled this year for June 13th and 14th. And had you asked me if we'd ever last for 14 years, I'm very surprised that we have actually got this far. And I think at 14 years, if I'm not mistaken, the Windfall Ecology Festival is one of the most enduring of Newmarket events in Fairy Lake Park, which we're very proud of. One of the reasons we believe that this festival has endured as long as it has, obviously issues of the environment and climate are much on people's mind in a growing way, but also because we've managed to keep the event fresh and have something new and different for festival goers, adding new things at every opportunity. In the last couple of years, several years ago, we had an event called the Electric Vehicle Roadshow. Like our festival, the Electric Vehicle Roadshow has been copied all over the province. There are now EV roadshows that are taking place right across Ontario. and it's been an opportunity for literally hundreds of people to test drive electric vehicles while attending the festival. Last year, we really upped our game in the food area with the creation of our local food event, Local Food Fiesta, with some fantastic support from the province of Ontario through the Local Food Fund. We were able to provide many more local food events and culinary demonstrations and provide access to a lot of fabulous both local and celebrity chefs. And we were thinking last year, wouldn't it be great if, as a complement to this local food festival, we could do a simple craft beer tasting, a very kind of sedate kind of event that complements the culinary aspects of what we're doing. The reason why local is important to us and why it makes sense for Windfall Ecology Center to do local stuff around food is really quite simple. Local food, locally produced food, has a much lower carbon content than does imported food. And when things are produced locally, the economic benefit is an orders of magnitude greater when we consume local things. So it was just kind of a natural thing. Of course, as you well know, with the exception of Canada Day, alcohol has not been allowed in Fair Lake Park, and for very good reason. Some of you will recall that Windfall Ecology Center used to be located on Water Street, and for many, many years we've seen more than one patriotic reveler on Canada Day swagger by. So, I mean, we fully support that ban. However, what we're planning is a much less boisterous kind of an event. It takes place alongside our culinary demonstrations, and it's really not possible to get intoxicated. In fact, the amount of alcohol is limited to a very small amount, just as a matter of an opportunity for tasting. And frankly, if anybody wants to have more, we would encourage them to head over to Main Street. We're always looking for opportunities to attach the festival more directly to the Main Street business. So Josh, I'd like to present Josh Gottlieb, who is the festival producer, and he's going to just quickly go over how this event would, with your indulgence, how this event would come off.
So our idea is to do an industry tasting. We'll be working in conjunction with Hungry Brew Hops on Main Street and featuring breweries that they already have on tap so that we have that synergy with Main Street. Our idea is that when you enter as a patron, you would receive a passport that you get. When you show your ID and you come into the separate area of the beer tasting, you would be allowed to have no more than 8 2-ounce samples. So that way, if some breweries have more than one beer, you could maybe sample 2 from that one. And that is the equivalent of a small pint, a small 16-ounce pint. Upon exiting, you receive a stamp, and you're not allowed re-entry. So it's a 1 visit per day. We know that, according to the liquor permit, we need to have separate entrance and exit for our beer tasting area. And you can see that it's only 1/3 of our 60 by 40 foot tent. The 4-foot fence must separate those areas so that you cannot have access between the two. But it also allows for people to enjoy the culinary demonstrations from the beer tasting area.
Josh, I have you at 5 minutes now, so I'll have to ask council to get an extension. Can I have a motion? Councillor Kerwin, Councillor Twinney, all those in favor? Additional 5 minutes if necessary.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Yes.
Mayor.
Tonight's the night we use the green buttons. We'll wait for that. You continue on, Josh, and then we'll put the vote through.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Mayor. So the idea with this event is that we're really sampling Ontario craft beer, where you can come and taste. Our intention is to invite 6 different breweries from Ontario to participate in this event. The breweries would come with their own SmartServe certified staff and would be in charge of presenting and distributing the beer according to our passport. And that's pretty much the extent of it. We understand and will be happy to be working with Central York Fire Services to make sure that our floor plan is up to their code and that we're doing everything to be in compliance with their regulations as well as with the Liquor Control Board of Ontario.
Okay, any questions or clarification? Motion then to receive, Councillor Kerwin?
Just a question. I'm sure that we will receive it, and eventually it'll be referred to staff as well. But I just wanted to make a comment. You know, Brent, it's hardly possible that it's 14 years, and I think I met you in my own home, and I think you were in the financial world at that time. Is that not correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
And same way with Josh. I've met you on many occasions as you work with my son Mike. And I must say that with regard to this, it's a new proposal, but I've met these gentlemen, not young anymore like myself, but they're very responsible and a tribute to our community. So thank you for coming up with new ideas to make Windfall the success it has been, and great to see you again.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Councillor.
Thanks, Brent and Josh. Look, first of all, thank you, and very proud of what you bring to our town in terms of environmental leadership, but also economic development through the festival. And I just wanted to ask you, if we were able to move this forward, you'd be comfortable with this as a pilot for this year, and then staff can review and report back to council and for next year. But I think it might be a way to keep things moving more quickly.
Absolutely, a pilot it is.
Yeah. Okay. At the appropriate time, I'd like to make a motion.
Okay, let's receive the deputation if there's no further questions.
We'll move to receive the deputation.
Okay. Councillor Kerwin, Councillor Fay. It's ironic while we're waiting for ecology that we have to push our green buttons. Councillor Spark. That carries. Motions to be receiving.
Thank you.
Regional Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to actually. We often would refer this for report, but I think that I'm sure the festival would like to keep moving forward, and it's planning of talking to Hungry Brew Hops, and I think this is relatively straightforward. This is clearly not a beer tent or a beer festival. It's a very limited tasting that I think blends very well with the culinary tent and the festival itself. So I'd like to make a motion that we approve a pilot project for this year, and that staff monitor it and report back to us on the nature of the event and and any adjustments to the policy if required at that time.
Councillor Kerwin. Any further discussion? All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Next item is a deputation from Ms. Tina Bogner, representing the Newmarket Taxpayers Advocacy Group, Inc. Ms. Bogner, we permit up to 5 minutes.
Good evening. I'm here this evening to announce the creation of the Newmarket Taxpayers Advocacy Group, Inc., a provincially incorporated, non-political, non-partisan, and non-for-profit advocacy organization. Our group is dedicated to fair taxes, less waste, and transparent and accountable government in Newmarket. My name is Tina Bogner, and I'm the president. Our organization, NTAG for short, is formally recognized by the Canadian Taxpayers Federation, both the federal and provincial divisions. Information on our organization, our elected officers, board members, and ward representatives can be found on our website, ntag.ca. Our mission is to work collaboratively and consultatively with all levels of local government, town, region, and school boards. To that end, we've been working with the Town of Newmarket staff on a number of Freedom of Information requests we have filed. We are grateful for the professionalism, insight, and assistance of staff. They have been willing to assist with any clarification or additional information, and for this we are thankful. We would respectfully ask that the Town of Newmarket to provide our organization with a link on the Town of Newmarket website and in Town of Newmarket local newspaper advertising. This is consistent with what other York Region municipalities, such as Markham and Vaughan, have provided to their taxpayers groups. Recently, NTAG undertook to review the finances of various town projects and departments. We sought to review how public money was used in such areas as the creation of a dog park, staff and council incentives including meals, gifts, council identification apparel, and loans to local non-for-profit organizations using town funds. With the exception of one FOI, which we've appealed to the Privacy Commissioner, we've received all the data requested and have proceeded to complete our due diligence and analysis. One area we reviewed is the amount of miscellaneous charges made annually by town departments. Of concern is the $256,000 in 2014, or almost 0.5% annual tax increase, using $500,000 as 1%, of unbudgeted miscellaneous items charged to the taxpayers. More importantly, this totals over $1 million taxpayer dollars every 4 years of council, or a 2% increase to the tax base every 4 years. Compounded annually, this is a huge increase to the tax base for items such as charitable donations, airline tickets, construction boots, a departmental fiesta party, staff Christmas Eve lunch, and the purchase of cakes and flowers. Many of these charges already have formal departmental budgets, yet they are charged as staff appreciation, sundry, or miscellaneous. There are budgets for conferences and seminars and for clothing and safety equipment, so why are these items in a miscellaneous fund? For example, see Public Works account 32213 roads maintenance. Why is the annual railway culvert crossing agreement fees charged to miscellaneous? This is an annual contract obligation with Metrolinx and should have an annual budget of its own. When these expenses are charged to miscellaneous, it hides the true annual operating expenses of the corporation. If these items are not correctly charged to formal department budgets, then how does each department keep track of annual expenses and the need for either holding or reducing a specific budget item? If you don't use the budget amount, then why is it proposed again in next year's budget at full value? It appears the unused or partially used expense accounts are moved forward unchanged each year, or unused budget amounts are transferred to miscellaneous. Both, of course, cause an inflated tax base. These miscellaneous charges need to end, and all departments need to set up formal accounts for the larger defined expenses such as food, lunches, and dinners. We would respectfully request that someone in leadership, preferably council, find an outside auditor and audit this apparent petty cash fund. We ask council to please hold all senior management accountable to set up proper accounts to track these expenses and control all expenditures specifically for lunches or dinners to legitimate town business. The key point here is that taxpayers are funding an annual unreported miscellaneous fund of $256,000, or almost 0.5% annual tax impact. This 0.5% compounds each year on top of regular annual operation tax increase pressures. When taxpayers are told this year's town portion of the tax increase will be 3.5%, it's really 4%. When the 0.5% increase compounds over 3 terms of council or over 12 years, it equals a hidden increase to the tax base of over $3 million. And that's just for this miscellaneous account. In 2014, $146,000 was budgeted for these accounts. The actual spend was $225,000. The Newmarket Taxpayers Advocacy Group asked the town of Newmarket to eradicate the use of a miscellaneous account as a slush fund, implement the proper accounting controls, and bring this annual expense down by 50% for the current fiscal year. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions of clarification? Be appropriate then to receive the deputation and refer the comments to staff for review. I have a motion to that. Councillor Vague, Councillor Twinney. All those in favour? That is carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure. Regional Councillor?
Just wanted to ask some questions of staff with regards to the items raised. It was mentioned that this was unbudgeted. I assume it's not unbudgeted. Can you clarify that?
Mr. Sheldon?
What I would need is the information. This is the first that I've been presented with the information. The miscellaneous account itself would be a budgeted item. I think the deputant is really questioning what qualifies under miscellaneous. So it's something that we would welcome the opportunity to take a look at, to just provide council with the reassurance that that the expenditures are appropriate and the budgets are as well. And if that's not the case, we would review that with council as well.
Yeah, no, and I think it's certainly, if the request is brought forward, reviewing it as a worthy endeavor. I just wanted to verify that it is budgeted, and and I think it's also I think when we report, if you're going to report back on this, I assume you will be, that we could also look at the idea that it increases a tax increase of 3.5% is really 4%, because if it is budgeted, then it's budgeted in previous years and it doesn't drive the tax rate in this current year. So I would like that clarified as well as part of the process. But certainly I think we should look at all these and verify them and see where they appropriately fit. And if there's improvements or corrections to be made, we should do so. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sheldon?
Mr. Mayor, that the item that was referred to relative to the culvert crossing, if that is an item that is in miscellaneous, and we'll have to see what direction we've received in the past in terms of the budget format, but that's something that can be set out to a specific account if necessary. That's quite appropriate, because that is an ongoing expense, lease charges with Ontario Hydro, and also with the Railroad Authority as well.
Okay, thank you. Next item is the approval of minutes. Special council meeting of March the 2nd. Minutes are before you. Have a motion, please. Moved by Councillor Twinney, seconded by Regional Councillor. Any corrections? All those in favor? Regional Councillor? Good. Thank you. Next item is the council minutes of March the 2nd. Can I have a motion with respect to those minutes, please? Councillor Kerwin. Councillor Vague. Any corrections? Councillor Bizans?
Perhaps not so much a correction as a question of clarification.
Push the red button, please. Oh, we got it. Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Not a correction so much as just a question of clarification, if I may, with respect to item number 26 and the snow storage at Ray Twinney Complex. I just wanted to clarify that the direction was to find not just a temporary but actually a permanent snow disposal site for the future.
Okay. And the minutes do reflect permanent, correct?
The minutes do say secure temporary or permanent snow disposal sites for the remainder of the 2014-2015 winter and onwards. So I'm just clarifying that it's clear that we're looking for a permanent site now that this winter is hopefully almost over.
Yep. Yeah. I believe that was the intent. Mr. Nohammer, did you want to clarify a little further?
Yes, certainly through you, Mr. Mayor. That is the intent. We are seeking alternative sites to the existing snow storage area that the town maintained in the past at the Ray Twinney complex, and that still is the case, and we're actively pursuing that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor of the minutes then? Next item is correspondence. Correspondence is with respect to Oncology Nurses Day. Request for proclamation and recommendations are before you. Could I have a motion with respect to the recommendations, please? Councillor Vague. Second. Councillor Hempin. Any discussion? All those in favor? Reports by a regional representative. Regional Councillor?
Thanks very much. Three things I'd like to just quickly highlight. I think one that was certainly covered in the local newspaper and was in the public eye was an effort or interest by some members of regional council in the south to move or look at moving the annex, or what is the administrative the planned administrative building for the York region that would go at the corner of Yonge and Eagle Street, and has been planned for about 6-7 years, to move it to the southern part of the region. Mayor Van Bynen and myself, along with town and regional staff, I think represented an existing very strong case as to why it's located where it is, the money it can save by consolidating existing leases, and why it's best suited in the location it's in. And I'm pleased to say that we were able to move a motion successfully and reaffirm Council's commitment to the current location and the planned timeline. I also want to just highlight for people that we received our corporate State of Infrastructure report card, essentially is what it is. It's a grading of the infrastructure in the region, and as you know, infrastructure is a challenge across Canada for many municipalities, and we're a rapidly growing municipality. But we are, and we're faced with a lot of financial pressures, but one of the things we do is put a lot of money into asset replacement and invest in our assets, and I'm pleased to report that on the grading, which can go from an A, defined as fit for the future, to an F as defined as unfit for sustainable service, all areas of the region's infrastructure was graded an A or a B. And waste management, wastewater, water, and paramedic services were all graded A's, forestry, housing, long-term care, police, roads, transit, all graded B's. So very high ratings by any standard in our I think our continued investment in infrastructure has put us in good shape for now and into the future. Finally, I'd just like to share that the Human Services Planning Board, which I co-chaired the past term and will continue to co-chair, is entering a new term, and we're adding some new members. I think Michael Braithwaite of 360 Kids is being added to the board, which is a strong addition. I also want to point out that we're adding a second private sector. We have the Vice President of IBM, who's been with us for some time, but now Rachel Wong from TD Direct Investing, a senior manager, is joining us. And finally, I want to also add that Medhat Madi, the President and CEO of the YMCA of Greater Toronto, is also joining the board, along with approximately 20 other community leaders, including hospital representatives, both school boards, the directors of both school boards, and more. And it's we look forward to continue to do some more work to coordinate and to emphasize areas of needs. And of course, one of those our greatest areas of emphasis is rental housing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Questions, Councillor Kerwin?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I would like to comment on the retention of the regional annex in Newmarket. Many years ago, the late Ray Twinney, who was then the mayor, and the regional council, the late Bob Scott, were really instrumental in locating the regional capital in the center of Newmarket. And I really compliment the two of you on arguing that the annex should remain here. It generates a vast number of jobs, and it is an economic primer, truly, for the town of Newmarket. So congratulations to both of you, and congratulations to the council itself on its retention here. It's no mean feat, but originally it was those two gentlemen who really were instrumental, particularly Ray, who brought that capital to the town of Newmarket. The other question that I have, and either the mayor or the regional councillor can answer, and that's about, there was an article in the Star about Viva and the construction on Davis Drive. And I assume that the rapid transit that we're building from Yonge to Roxborough is strictly for Viva buses itself, and does not include York Region buses in that laneway. That's
Actually, yeah. The Rapid Way actually goes from Yonge Street all the way over to the carpooling zone. It will be in the mixed traffic following Roxborough, and the rapid lanes will be utilized or are to be utilized by the Viva buses, the rapid transit buses, the blue buses, and emergency vehicles as well. The York Region buses will be curbside, and once we commission the Viva Next Rapid Ways, there will be a review in terms of making sure that both the YRT and the Viva Next are complementary. We don't want one right behind the other, so they'll serve different markets. The Rapid Way has the longer stretches, whereas the York Region YRT buses will have the shorter stops. So we'll be going through that analysis once we commission the Rapid Ways. Okay.
I thank you, Mr. Mayor. You've answered the concerns of some of the residents of Ward 2, because both buses run through Ward 2. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Next item then is the council workshop record of March 23rd. I believe that was the rescheduling of our compliance training. Can I have a motion with respect to that record, please?
I'll move that, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Kerwin, Councillor Broom-Plumley. Any corrections? All those in favor? Thank you. Next item is the Committee of the Whole minutes of March 23rd. Are there any items that members wish to deal with separately? Regional Councillor?
Item 23, please.
Any other items? Item number 21, it's just a matter of clarification on that. We can come back to that separately. Could I have a motion then to adopt the minutes and the recommendations of the Committee of the Whole March 23rd, with the exceptions of items 21 and 23? Councillor Begg. Councillor Broom-Plumley. All those in favor? That is carried. For clarification, item number 21. Item number 21 is with respect to a motion that we've received from the town of Aurora. And what I'd like to do is just clarify recommendation AI, and it reads that the ongoing request for the town of Newmarket, that their request be endorsed, and that the ongoing request of the town of Newmarket for a Mulock Drive interchange, and that should read full interchange, is what we're looking for, at Highway 404 be supported, and that a third lane be constructed both north and southbound from the current termination of Aurora North to Green Lane. So that's just a matter of clarification. I believe that that was the intent. So if I could have a motion to adopt those recommendations as amended. Councillor Kerwin, Councillor Begg. Discussion?
Was there, just on on item
21?
II, was there any staff information or report or any other external report that spoke to the need for that? I'm not saying necessarily, I'm just curious about what information if we received any information or any guidance.
Mr. Sheldon, I'm not sure there was anything at the committee meeting, but Mr. Sheldon?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There was not a report at the committee meeting, but that is an item that has been discussed as part of the Region Master Transportation Plan, and I understand, subject to anything the Commissioner wants to add, that there are discussions in that regard with the province. The province doing an EA?
Oh, the ongoing EA.
Yes.
Yes. And what's you probably don't know, but through you, Mr. Mayor, do we know the parameters of the EA? Because I think they go beyond this level, and I guess, I mean, maybe we're speaking of this specific jurisdiction, but I believe the EA is larger than that area.
Mr. Nohammer?
Commissioner.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, Regional Council, I can look that up and get back to you on that.
So I guess, and I'll leave it here, but I guess where I'm going with this is that if this is related to the EA, and the EA goes through the typical EA process, there's a commenting process. Is this a motion that's going to get passed, or does it turn into a further report or a letter from mayor and council, or where's it going? And I mean, if it's just for us to sit here and say, you know, we believe in this, but I mean, are we intending to submit this in or put forward a report maybe that actually speaks to it as well?
Or we might circulate that on the same basis as the original motion from Aurora as well. Mr. Sheldon?
Right.
Mr. Mayor, I would think there's time on this one. What staff could do is to frame up a resolution with some supporting information that council could pass at a future council meeting that builds a case, similar to the Aurora resolution. So it supports the Aurora resolution for a full interchange or an interchange at St. John Side Road. But what I think the intent of this is to not miss the opportunity to reinforce what the town's been after for some time in terms of the full interchange at Mulock and then this third lane extension.
Okay, thanks. So let's just leave that for now as direction to staff, right? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor? That is carried. Item number 23. We have the recommendations before us. Could I have a motion with respect to the recommendations? Councillor Kerwin?
Yeah, I'll move it, Mr. Mayor, to get it on the floor, and I'll just make one comment, because it does concern sidewalk snow removal.
Okay. Is there a seconder for that motion?
I'll second that, get on the floor.
On the floor, okay. Councillor Kerwin is the mover.
Yeah, just a comment that with regard to universal snow removal throughout the town, including courts and so forth, this will be open for consultation. This will be going forward again to the public for consultation, so I'm going to wait to see what comes in. But inevitably, I hope to phase it in over the next 2 years, 2016, 2017, is that there is sidewalk snow removal for all residents within the town of Newmarket and not just within designated areas. We are doing snow removal in about 65% of the town. This would take us to 100%, and it eliminates, where the snowplow operator stops and starts. It eliminates enforcement that sometimes doesn't happen. And as we know, many people now leave Canada for Arizona or Florida, and they become snowbirds, and they don't have anyone behind removing the snow from the sidewalk, and it's very difficult to enforce it, Mr. Mayor. So it's, when I was knocking on doors during the past election, it was one of the issues that was a priority to most residents. So eventually when the consultation comes in, I hope to see it phased in over the next 2 years.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Begg is the seconder. No comment. Okay, I wonder if I might just... Okay, I wonder if I might just clarify, because the language I don't think on the minutes quite capture what the intent was. And so that item AI, which was the first item, item A2 is separate to that. I'd like that, and if the mover and the seconder see that as a friendly amendment, subject to further discussion, that council direct staff to move forward with the preliminary draft budget with option G as indicated in the enhanced options of the PowerPoint presentation for the remaining public consultation and for consideration at council on April the 20th. That was the intent. It wasn't quite captured that way, and that also is subject to further discussion. Regional Councillor.
That's great. Thanks very much. I was absent for this committee of the whole. I was out of the country on a vacation. I know there was 2 other members absent. I appreciate the effort that council is making to try to address some of the concerns or some of the priorities of some of the residents of Newmarket. I'm speaking in opposition to the motion, and I won't be supporting it. Primarily, I won't be supporting it because just a short period of time ago, a few weeks ago, council unanimously endorsed a target, as we've done for many years, and the target is meant to try to set a clear expectation and reflect a community expectation that we can bring in a budget in and around cost of living. That motion was that we would target a 2 to 2.5% tax increase maximum, and that wouldn't include asset replacement considerations. This option sees the budget move to 3%, and I personally can't support moving to 3% immediately following setting a target of 2 to 2.5%. That even if it is something that is yet to be finally decided, it's still the draft budget that we would be going to the public with and presenting as an option that we want considered. And for myself, that's not something I can do. I strongly believe that we should be trying to, aside from asset replacement, trying to keep in and around the cost of living target. I've said it on the record before. I'm not a shall we call it a 0%er. I don't believe in starving the system or in ignoring the fact that we've growth pressures and a growing citizenry in the area and residents, and we have to respond to that, and that we've got cost of living pressures and increased costs. But at the same time, I do think we have to recognize that we hear from residents all the time, and I'm sure I'm not the only one in the election who heard from residents saying that this is a priority area. And I'm not denying that these other areas that have been raised are important and that should be considered or that were raised by residents, but I think we all hear, particularly from people who are struggling with their own financial difficulties or from seniors on fixed incomes. But most importantly, we set a tax target. We did it unanimously just a short few weeks ago, and I think we should be bringing a budget to the public that reflects that target, which is in and around the cost of living. So I won't be supporting this. If this does not succeed or does not pass, I will be moving a motion that council direct staff to bring back a report providing phasing options to allow for council enhancement priorities related to traffic mitigation, sidewalk plowing, and create IT at Southlake, while maintaining the council motion to target a budget tax increase of 2 to 2.5%. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Twinney.
Thank you. I won't be supporting it as well. I do believe that when we set a target, we should be at least adhering to that target. And it's something that I've always supported in the past, is ensuring that if we don't, I think last term when we didn't reach a target, I didn't support it. And I believe that definitely sidewalk snow clearing was a very hot topic out there, and people do feel that their sidewalks should be cleared across the board. But I also heard how people are struggling and need to ensure that our taxes are kept in check. And it's not just, people aren't just looking at tax increases as a burden. It's everything else as well on top of it. It's the cost of hydro, it's the cost of gas and energy that way. So I think it's something that we really need to be cognizant of and ensure that we try and keep with our target rate. I do have a question with regards to the motion, though, as well, in regards to other options, and maybe somebody through you, Mr. Mayor, to staff can clarify it. What is court snow clearing? Because I wasn't too sure what that was. I understand the sidewalk snow clearing, and that was something that was always coming up, but I didn't know what that was.
Mr. Nohammer?
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Twinney, if you recall, staff have in the past been challenged during heavy winter storms in clearing courts and wide-angle bends of snow in a timely manner, because they are cycling the plows back onto the main roads and secondary streets and local streets before being able to get to the courts. And at times, and I said this happens most often during a heavy snowfall, those locations can wait, and often till the end of the storm and many hours after the storm is finished. That is our current level of service. So that option did provide additional resources for additional equipment to be dispatched into the courts and on these wide-angle bends to remove the snow or clear the snow at the same time as the streets are done.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, is that cost operational? I guess not, because this is part of it's not part of capital budget for extra equipment. It's for operational for extra staff. Is that correct?
That's correct. It would be performed entirely through contractors, so this would be an operating expense.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I didn't hear. Sidewalk snow clearing definitely was something I heard for more than court clearing. So yeah, I feel that we should be. I'd like it to come back from staff within our target rate. Also, regarding item 2 of 23. There's an item that says that splash pads move from the deferred list in order to be considered in the 2015 capital budget. Is it all right if we, maybe look at, rather than just looking at splash pads, but look at, I suppose, how do I word this? Look at all recreational options, because I think there's a whole list of different types of items that are on there that, from skateboard parks, et cetera. So can we perhaps, just trying to think, if we leave it on there, but does it have to be considered as a splash pad, or can we leave it on there as looking at a number of recreational options to be considered in the budget?
Mr. Sheldon, to clarify, or would you like Mr. McDougall to deal with that? Go ahead, Ian.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Councillor Twinney. The motion related specifically to spray pads. However, within the DCs, there is the flexibility of shifting projects in terms of when they become a priority, as long as they are outlined within the DC bylaw, which in the case of spray pads, it is. So there is that flexibility. The recreation playbook is, and the timing associated with it, would be a nice driver of decision-making as it relates to capital infrastructure and improvements within the community to the greatest extent possible, because it will actually paint the long-term picture for council to consider, and it can be captured in either in the 15 fiscal year as well as the 16 and beyond, because the DC bylaw and the projects identified within span out into 15, but as well into 16, 17, 18, and beyond. So there is that flexibility for council.
So I guess, Mr. Mayor, I just want to know if we specifically say splash pads, though, or are we going to be defined to moving forward with that within the budget? And from what I'm hearing from you, no, we're not. There's a certain number of items that are listed under that are funded through DCs that we can move forward.
Mr. McDougall.
Yeah, through Mr. Mayor, as it relates to the spray pads, the motion specifically related to that, which is one of the identified things within the DC. So it would, in fact, based on the motion as it currently reads, is it would advance spray pads through into a capital consideration for the 15 budget. So in that case, it would, because it's specifically identified through the motion.
Okay. So, I mean, for myself, I would like to, I mean, before we move forward with something as substantial as another splash pad, I like to take a broader look at the whole recreational playbook and what it is that the community is really looking for before we move forward, you know, so quickly. That's my only concern. So I won't be supporting it this time because it sounds like we can move forward with a number of items. You know, it doesn't have to be specified right now within this budget, I don't believe. We can move it forward at any time as long as it's under the DC list. Is that correct?
Mr. McDougall.
Yeah, through Mr. Mayor, we would link any of the capital projects with the budget process, so that we would want to link it that way. However, there is the opportunity of anything that is advanced in the capital budget, if for whatever reason the project can't advance due to workload of other capital projects or timeline of securing consultants, then it could be carried over to a subsequent year. So we would normally capture the capital projects as it relates to infrastructure improvements during the capital budget timeline. So we have a window now. Once that closes, we'd be looking at the 16 budget process,
Right.
which is targeted to be initiated immediately on the heels of the 15 budget process. So it can be adopted near or at the end of the fiscal year of 2000.
Okay, so fair enough. So through you, Mr. Mayor, so do we have another, because usually we have a good general budget meeting that we deal with capital, especially I think the capital budget's coming forward in our next meeting, is that right?
I believe capital and operating will be coming forward together, Mr. Sheldon, and it's in the decision book, I believe. The decision package is under section 7 or 8. Mr. Sheldon.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. At the meeting, Committee of the Whole meeting, I believe the capital budget was part of that, as were the decision packages, but the process is continuing.
Right.
I think your other question, if I could maybe take a stab at it, I think you were asking if after the budget process, can another item be brought forward? Say a DC-funded item such as a skate park. If you have all the information in place and you want to go forward with that, you can do that through a supplementary capital budget. We have done that in the past. So with the, as the Commissioner indicated, with the splash pads or spray pads, that item is included. There is still the process to go through the playbook, determination of what that would look like community-wide, and then discussion with council in terms of location. The number that is in the DC bylaws for one big splash pad, but what we're saying is that the monies are sufficient to do a number of smaller ones, subject to what comes out of the playbook.
Yeah, okay. I just don't feel I'm ready to move forward with the splash pad at this point until I get more information from the recreational playbook and what feedback from the community of what they would like to see. So,
thank you. Maybe what we can do is deal with those two items separately.
Okay.
Okay, moving forward. Councillor Kerwin.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I am the guilty party. I suggest even a lower rate of increase. I suggested 2%. And I still hope that can be accomplished. And part of the reason, Regional Councillor Taylor is quite correct. When you take a look at the increase to pensioners, those who are getting an OMERS increase, it's 1.9%. Those who work for the York Region District School Board or the separate board, it's 1.7%. So you try to bring in an increase because 25% of our residents are basically pensioners. So and some don't have a pension at all, other than CPP or old age security. It's fixed. So I agree with that. When I move this, as I say, it's out there for consultation, and it comes back to us, and you can reduce that to the 2% or whatever it might be. It's for consultation. We hope people make an input, you know, over the years, I have asked for very little enhancement, but I believe snow removal on all sidewalks is becoming a safety issue. And eventually that's going to have to be addressed. Either you phase it in 216, 217, but it has become a safety issue. How many lawsuits are against us because of black ice or failing to remove the snow? So I think you have to look at our insurance and a multitude of factors. I don't remember the leash-free dog park being a safety issue, but to me this is one. So over the years, when we come to budget, I've really asked for very few enhancements, and I realize this is an enhancement, but I believe we still can bring in that budget at 2.5% or less by throwing the budget out there again for consultation. And that's why I'm the mover of this at this particular time. This is not final. We can even bring in suggestions ourselves. Maybe we don't open the leash-free dog park, or maybe we don't do this, because those are added costs. So I think when you deal with the budget, I have to think you have to look at it universally, Mr. Mayor, in all points.
Thank you.
I'm sorry for the scratchy voice, Mr. Mayor, but I have the onset of cold.
I was going to say you were yelling at the OMB all day today. Yeah, Councillor Vague.
Thank you very much. I second this motion to bring it forward, but I will not be voting in favor of it. I will ask, though, that we do separate item number 1 and item number 2. Item number 1 refers to option G, as we've already spoken for, and with the enhancement options. We did have 3 members of our council not available for that meeting, and I really would like to hear their input. And I also like the suggestion that it be referred back to staff for additional options for us to try to get our budget within that 2 to 2.5%. And we're not feeling pressed for time, and it's certainly worth reviewing those options and looking at them, and then for us to be making a decision on that with a more full council, and then presenting that to the public. So I will not be voting in favor of that. On item number 2, though, I do want it to continue that splash pads move from the deferred list in order to be considered for the 2015 capital budget. I do want to remind everyone that this is funded from the development charges and will not have a tax impact on this. My feeling is that we've heard a lot from residents for the demand of splash pads and other items also, but this is something that I think we can move forward with now. It's a great opportunity. We know how successful they are, how well used they are, how low maintenance they are. There will be a real enhancement to our communities, and we have already received preliminary information from our playbook that we'll probably be receiving a recommendation for splash pads in each quadrant, in each quarter of the municipality. I don't think that's going to change between now and the next few weeks when the final version of the playbook comes out. So that is a recommendation. It is something that I believe our residents want us to move forward on, make a decision on this quickly. So I do ask when we do split this, I do ask my colleagues on council to vote in favor, and let's start moving on these splash pads, and we can move on other things also. And again, to remind you, this does not have a tax impact, so it doesn't need to be tied into that further discussion.
Thank you. Councillor Bazance.
Mayor, I've also spoken in favor of not a range with a minimum and a maximum, but rather more definitive. And I think I concurred with Councillor Kerwin at 2%, and still feel very strongly that that's something that we should work towards with all of the very valid reasons that have already been identified. I also think, though, that it's important to consider what the priorities are of the residents, of the public, with respect to enhancements. And whether or not we think that sidewalk clearing should be all done starting December 2015, or if that's something that we could phase in over a period of 3 years to sort of lessen the total impact. I do believe that there are increasing concerns around accessibility. We've heard from our own accessibility committee that access and ability for people to get around on sidewalks in the winter is an increasing growing concern. So I think we need to keep those things in mind as being priorities for the residents that we've been hearing. The other thing that I really want to emphasize is that through our consultations, through the surveys that we've had, through the things that we heard through the election campaign, that traffic and street safety is also very much a priority for our residents. So I want to make sure that whatever we do to look at how we can lessen the overall increase and impact of costs really do reflect what we're hearing as priorities and what our residents and the public want to see as enhancements coming forward for us. So, you know, I'd just like to emphasize the traffic safety issues as being a major concern, and the ways to look at how we can ensure that we reflect those in whatever we bring forward.
Thank you. Councillor Hempin?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Unfortunately, I wasn't at that meeting on the 23rd, but after and listening to my colleagues, I will also not be supporting the recommendation of G. Hopefully staff can have a look at this and we can all put our heads together and find some solutions to lower this. We all would like to see things added to the budget, and we've heard from the public that they have concerns over traffic safety, and they would like to see some resources and some money go towards this. And we hear of sidewalks and requests for sidewalks being cleared, and I've heard from residents that they have a difficult time getting around in our community. And it's an important thing. I'm also very concerned in that we have a asset replacement fund. This fund has about $12 million in it, and it goes towards looking after our infrastructure. And our infrastructure includes our roads, our water pipes, our sewage pipes. And this money is set aside to look after capital expenditures annually. We had a report come to us in last term of council, and it was through Hempson, the Hempson Group. It was a consultant that is hired by the town. They look after a lot of municipalities in our province. They have suggested that we should be putting away approximately 1% this year to keep up with infrastructure costs in the future. If we're not setting money aside today, we will be hit one day, and tomorrow, and every year, and we need to be setting this money aside. Otherwise, this municipality is going to be burdened with a lot of debt. And we see in places like Toronto where we have broken pipes, water mains in the winter, and issues happening. And that's because of aged infrastructure. You can keep on trying to squeeze more out of your infrastructure, but you're going to end up with problems. And once those problems happen, they impact residential areas, they create greater problems, they create more costs. So for myself, I feel it's very, very important that we're putting the money away for our infrastructure. What was being suggested is in item G was 0.5%, which equals $250,000 for our infrastructure. Again, Hempson suggested and recommends that we put away 1% for our infrastructure. This 0.5%, this $250,000, basically only covers on that $12 million the inflation of construction inflation of this year. So we really aren't putting any more money away, putting any more money towards our infrastructure. So I look forward to further reports from our staff, colleagues putting their heads together, finding savings, yet still being responsible for our municipality.
Thank you. Councillor Kerwin?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I would like to comment on a report that we received from staff called Information Report 2015-10, and it deals with Canada Post switch over to community mailboxes.
Maybe we can deal with that under new business.
Yes, but I'm just bringing it up now because it does involve snow removal. And, you know, we're going to have community mailboxes located in a lot of the old communities, such as Ward 2, Ward 4, Ward 3, Ward 5, which now have mail delivery, which won't have. And with these community mailboxes will come whose responsibility is it to remove the snow around the mailboxes and so forth. So this is one of the other issues that I'm going to raise under new business as well, and some positive suggestions. But I think the comments from our councillor, Christina Bazance from Ward 7, it also affects more and more people are walking with walkers and wheelchairs and canes and so forth. And even tonight, when I was walking along Gorham home on the south side, because the snow melts during the day and it runs on the sidewalk, and it's black ice, and people fall on that black ice, and because it melts on the north side of the sidewalk, on the north side of the street, where that sidewalk is, but on the south side, that's the last snow to disappear. So that snow that's still there, there's a lot of black ice on Gorham Street right tonight because it'll freeze. And that happens year after year after year. And of all the issues that I've dealt with over the many years, constantly, every time the snow starts at the end of October to the end of March, it's a long period, is sidewalk snow removal, or from the courts, as Councillor Twinney has raised. So I want to see what comes back in the consultative process, but I still maintain that, along with Christina Bazance, the big complaints are always traffic. And, you know, with traffic goes, you know, when the snow isn't removed, where do people walk? They walk on the road. And where do they get hit? They get hit on the road, or they get hit on the sidewalk. And we have had a lot of pedestrian accidents over the years.
Thank you. Councillor Broom-Plumley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I spent the weekend at the home show. Councillor Bazance and myself talked to a number of residents about budget. I'm also very happy to hear from the members of council that were here last week and spent some time talking to staff. So I too will not be supporting item G, but I do hope that members of staff can come forward with some sidewalk shoveling options where we can phase it in over a longer period to make it happen, but maybe not 2 years, maybe over 3 or 4 years, in hopes that we can get a good understanding that the level of service, what the level of service will be. One of the things that I heard over and over from the community is that they want their sidewalks done at a certain time of day, and I don't believe by shoveling all the sidewalks that they have a full understanding of what that means. So I'm hoping that through this process we can have a more clear picture to the residents on what that shoveling all the sidewalks across the town of Newmarket will actually mean to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Like many others, I did support this motion, and my rationale was that it was directed towards addressing some very specific needs in the municipality, specifically the transportation and traffic-related items, as well as the sidewalk snow clearing, which were the two largest parts. And it provided for, this option G provided for a phasing program. And in the event that this motion fails, and I wouldn't be surprised that it does, looking at a different or an extended phasing program would be welcome in my mind. My concern is that maybe we may have messaged too soon when we established our goal earlier on. And I recall having said, I don't mind having a goal as long as we understand what it is we're taking off the table, as long as we understand what it is that we're not going to do, or things that we'll need to defer, so that it becomes a conscious decision as to what is that tax rate increase based on. And so I'll continue to support this motion. I will vote in favor of it, if for no other reason than it brings forward the notion that we are giving some thought to deferring or changing some items that we all agree and that we all know are important to our residents. So it's just a matter of at least now taking a look at it and saying, let's make some conscious decisions about what are the items that we're going to be deferring. And so those recommendations I look forward to seeing in the event that this motion does not pass. So, no further discussion? Yep.
Mr. Mayor, bringing this forward, but in defeating it, we're still going out to private consultation. I don't feel those matters are really off the table. There could be other items in the budget that are of less concern, and that's where you find the savings. So I still believe that that inevitably we will do sidewalk removal, whether it's in 2016 or 2017. But for me, bringing the forward motion voting against it is not defeating the traffic issue or the sidewalk removal, but to look at it in universal aspects and find things that are less important than some of those important things that we really feel a passion for, Mr. Mayor.
Yep, I'm quite willing to consider that, and I look forward to the following motion if this is defeated. I'll call the question, and there have been the revisions, or have there not? Item A1? We are separating the two, so we'll deal with item A1, and that is the option G. All those in favor? That was moved, right?
Yeah.
That's opposed. No, I'm in favor, sorry. I was in favor. Good. Yeah, you can reconsider, Christina. Good, thank you.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Regional councillor? We're having a little trouble with them. We've raised our hands. Okay, so opposed. Let's those opposed. Boy, that was close. In any event, that motion is defeated. I'll entertain other motions with respect to the report and the recommendations. Regional councillor?
Thanks very much. I'd like to put forward a motion that council directs staff to bring back a report providing phasing options that allow for achieving council enhancement priorities related to traffic mitigation and safety, sidewalk plowing, and created at South Lake, while maintaining the council motion to target a budgeted tax increase of 2 to 2.5%.
I could accept that, Mr. Mayor. I'll second it.
Okay, Councillor Kerwin. Any further discussion?
I'd like to just speak to it briefly, if I could.
Sure.
Yeah, I just want to concur with many of my colleagues, including Councillor Kerwin, who spoke recently, that I think that by defeating the existing motion doesn't mean we don't recognize that our residents are asking us to look. Yep, I've got more. To look strongly at issues. Certainly, we've heard loud and clear about traffic mitigation and safety, and more recently about sidewalk snow removal, and for us to take a closer look at that. I think certainly the exercise we went through this morning, setting our priorities, our strategic priorities as a council for the term, should weigh heavily on this discussion as well. And I hope when this report comes back, we can look at that exercise. It was a lengthy process to come to some mutual conclusions about where we believe that our focus should be, and I hope we can remind ourselves of what some of those top priorities are as we move forward and look at this. I will say that I think I can recognize and appreciate it as a philosophical difference that perhaps the mayor and I have on setting tax targets. I don't think it's premature to set a tax target early in the process. I think it's actually crucial to set it early in the process. I think if you don't, you get scope creep, and I think you need to recognize the ability of our taxpayers to burden a tax increase and work within those parameters. And I think that's exactly what's occurring right now. We're finding ways to address some of the issues and some of the concerns that have been brought forward to us, but we're finding a way to do that within a parameter, within a target that respects and recognizes the feedback we get from residents about their ability to pay. And so when residents say to us, I'd like you to look at removing all snow on all sidewalks, or I'd like you to look at further safety enhancements on our streets, when they say that to us, they don't say, and by the way, it's okay if you want to go to 5 or 6% tax increase to do it. They also expect that we're going to do that within a framework that respects their ability to pay or their desire to see a cost of living, what I believe is roughly a cost of living increase. And so I think that's the process we're now engaging in, and I think that the target helps us to remind us throughout the budget process, where often in the past things would get added through the process as requests rolled in and groups came in. And this kind of keeps a rein on that whole process and helps us find a way to find those answers to those priorities, perhaps maybe having to do it over 2 or 3 or more years, but doing it well, keeping a tax increase that we believe can be managed and one that reflects a cost of living increase. So I'm pleased with the direction we're going, and I'm really looking forward to, as was said earlier, all of us all of council members and staff together finding a solution that can achieve all of our goals. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Just to clarify, the option G wouldn't, I don't think you were suggesting that option G would create a 5 or 6% tax increase. Option G was 3.5, and the overall was 2.46, but just as a clarification.
No, all in.
All in 2.4, yeah, 2.47. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, for clarifying though, Mr. Mayor, I think we should clarify that the 2.47, which I think was perhaps some of the confusion in the earlier round of council, refers to the school board, the region, and the town, and our tax target is the town's tax rate of 2 to 2.5, and so I think that's important that that number is the all-in.
Yep. Thank you. Okay, all those in favor of the new motion? Okay, before we go any further, there are other items under item number 23 that we should also deal with. The first one is item 23A2, and that's with respect to the motion for the splash pad being included in the 2015 capital budget. Is there any further discussion on that? I think it's been moved already. We're just dealing with it separately. Regional Councilor and Councilor Hempel?
I just have a question for staff. If I just want to make sure I'm understanding this correctly. The motion that's in front of us would move this item from the deferred list for consideration in the capital budget, so it's not finalizing the capital budget, A, and B, I believe that also then that council would have to go through a process where we actually approve a splash pad in that calendar year. Otherwise, that dollars are held until a decision is made, whether it's the following year. And finally, am I correct in that budgeted item also applies to potentials other than splash pads, other potential recreation facilities?
Mr. McDougall.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, to the regional councillor, you're correct in that if approved or adopted, this would in fact carry money in the budget, in the 2015 capital budget, specifically for spray pads, so it's moving it forward. However, it would result in the playbook being completed, and then subject to what's in the playbook, a report would come to council in terms of the criteria, location. Council would have that say. It would then initiate a design process that would then ultimately result in a construction project. So by this going forward in the 15 budget, some funds, it does enable the process to carry on once the playbook is completed, taking into account that spray pads are in fact addressed through the playbook. So provided that's the case, there are funds there to do it. So it would then still initiate a conversation with council in terms of criteria where, and then the design process would go forward from that point.
So am I correct in saying that it depending upon the playbook and the conversation with council, it could or could not result in moving forward in the spray pad or splash pad, and secondly, that it could occur in this budget year or the following budget year, depending on the nature of the discussions?
That's correct, in that it's carried within the capital budget. If the work does not go forward in 15, it could be carried over into 16 and so forth. But yes, there's.
But it also doesn't represent a final decision of council to act.
Correct. We would need to come back to council in terms of where, how, scope of spray pads. I mean, all that would be informed through the playbook process.
You seem to be. I guess what I'm suggesting is that if is also still there, or once it's in the capital budget, that means we're doing splash pad or spray pad somewhere. Is that what you're saying, or not necessarily?
Oh no, it's
right, if as well.
Yeah, for sure. It would be council's decision. There's money there to do it, and council would make the decision as to how it advances.
And can you just confirm for me, is this line in the budget only under the DC funding source only allow for that dollars to be used for splash or spray pads, or is it allow for any other ancillary or related uses?
Mr. McDougall.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, there is an item identified within the DCs that relates to spray pads. In terms of the flexibility within, I'd be more comfortable actually just if I can provide an information report in consultation with the treasurer on that one, just to be clear in terms of the flexibility of moving funds within the DCs. But yeah, I could certainly speculate, but I'd like to provide more detailed information.
Okay, I mean, given those answers, I'm happy to support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hempel?
No, my questions have been answered. Thank you.
Okay. So we do have a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? Just for clarity, I'd like to, there's also a number of items identified as A, all categorized under item number 23, which relate to the budget. We can deal with them separately, or we can deal with them in total. The first one was a staff report with respect to information that we were requesting concerning the business development officer position. The second one is with respect to a request for staff to provide a report for the cost of increasing the frequency of the community survey. And the third is with respect to a report requested from staff that outlines the required resources to implement a targeted marketing program for the redevelopment of Davis Drive, as well as those resources would be without direct impact on the current and proposed economic development plans. These items are reports, and depending on what those reports are, to come forward. So could I have a motion with respect to those recommendations? Regional Councillor?
Yeah, I'm clarifying. So these are all reports and not decision points?
That's right.
Yeah, I'm happy to move
all requesting
I'm happy to move them all.
Okay, thank you. Seconder? Councillor Begg? Any further discussion? All those in favor? Okay. One other item with respect to the Committee of the Whole, and I know it wasn't pulled, and that is item number 12. Item number 12 relates to the Newmarket water distribution system, and this is just a request to staff. I know that the report outlines how you can access the water quality report through the internet. That's a complicated link, and I'm wondering if there's some way that we could list that under the I'd like to section, since some other items are probably outdated. So that makes it easy for our residents to link to that report. And I'd be satisfied with that just as a direction to staff. Okay? Thank you. Okay. Next item then is bylaws. Madam Clerk.
So we have bylaw 2015-10, which is a bylaw to provide an exemption to bylaw 2004-94 as amended, and it is a bylaw to facilitate the Canadian Cancer Society Holland River Unit Relay for Life event at Pickering College. And we also have bylaw 2015-11, which is a bylaw to amend the Parks bylaw and relates to housekeeping to reflect new provincial smoking regulations in public spaces and to allow for dogs to be off-leash in town-designated off-leash dog parks.
Okay. Could I have a mover and a seconder for these two bylaws, please? Councillor Hempin, Councillor Broom-Plumley. Does anyone wish to deal with them separately? Okay. All those in favor of these bylaws, then? And those are carried. Thank you. Are there any notices of motion? Are there any motions? Announcements and community events. I'll start with Councillor Vague.
Thank you. Just two announcements. At the Elman Campbell Museum on Saturday, April 4th, we have something called Exceptional Easter Fun. We ask residents with your kids, drop by the museum. It's at 134 Main Street South from 1:30 in the afternoon to 3 in the afternoon. You have an opportunity to meet the Easter Bunny, enjoy Easter displays, activities, egg decorating, and light refreshments. And certainly bring any toy bunnies or Easter hats or paraphernalia that you may have. The cost is $5 per participant, and pre-registration is required. This activity is suitable for children ages 4 to 10 years. Children under 12 must be accompanied by a caregiver, an adult 18 years of age or over. If you're interested in participating, please give us a call at 905-953-5314, or you can email the museum at albanmuseum@rogers.com. The second thing I'd like to bring forward is we have the Ward 1 Community Drop-In coming up on Tuesday, April 7th. That will be at the Magnus Center from 7 to 9 in the evening on the main floor. This is a monthly community drop-in that I host for Ward 1 residents. So please come by to say hello, and certainly if bring any concerns that you may have. But looking forward to seeing my neighbors, my Ward 1 neighbors, on Tuesday, April 7th at the Magnus Center from 7 to 9 in the evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Kerwin.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. The Newmarket Senior Centers is holding Friday night social dance on Friday, April the 10th. And again, Friday, April the 17th from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. at 474 Davis Drive. Come out and enjoy music, dancing, and refreshments. The cost is $5 for members and $6 for guests. For more information, please call 905-895-5154 or visit our website at newmarket.ca. And the second bit of information, Mr. Mayor, is the Ontario Municipal Board hearing with regard to the two properties on Mulock Court is ongoing tomorrow, Tuesday, March the 31st, again on April the 1st and 2nd, in the Kane Room for all the residents in the Arnhem Association. And that meeting is from 10 a.m. and it goes normally till 4:30 or close to 5 o'clock. So if you're interested in seeing the some expert planners in action and lawyers in action, please join me in the Kane Room on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Twinney.
Thank you. Ward 3 residents are invited to join me on Wednesday, April the 8th at the Newmarket Community Centre at Lions Hall, 200 Doug Duncan Drive. I will be hosting my Ward 3 meeting again from 7 till 8:30 p.m. Please come out and we can discuss what's happening in Ward 3. If you have any certain items that you would like to talk about added to the agenda, please either call me at 905-953-5323 or you can email me at j20@newmarket.ca. Thank you.
Thank you. Regional Councillor.
Yeah, I just want to first mention that this Wednesday, April the 1st from 7 to 10 is the Sir William Mulock Jazz Cafe and Silent Auction, and you can contact the school for information. The public's invited to drop into a PIC or a Public Information Center tomorrow here at the Council Chambers, where we are currently located, at the municipal offices at 395 Mulock Drive. Now, this meeting is to discuss the commencement of the Newmarket Stormwater Management Master Plan, a study that will define existing problems and opportunities and consider and evaluate solutions and identify a preferred stormwater management strategy for the town of Newmarket. So please, if this is something of interest to you, perhaps you border a stormwater pond or you're interested in the environmental implications of this strategy, please do come out. Written comments can also be submitted at the public meeting or by April 30th, 2015. So for further information regarding this project, please contact Meredith Goodwin at 905-895-5193, and she is at extension 2518. Thank you.
Councillor Hempin.
Thank you. The spring session of the Base Day program begins April 7th. This program, designed for individuals 16 years of age and older with special needs, runs Mondays through Thursdays from 8:30 a.m. until 3:30 p.m. Participants enjoy a busy day of activities, including a mix of recreation, fitness, skill development, cooking, crafts, and games. Guest visitors, themes, and outings are scheduled monthly. Registration is done in person at the Magnus Center, which is at 800 Mulock Drive. For more information, call 905-895-5193. Also, we're going to be hosting, Ward 4, we're going to be hosting our annual spring cleanup. It's our 5th one. Today we received notification from staff that the street sweepers are going to be going out on April the 13th and beginning at the south part of town and working north to clean up our streets of all the sand and salt that's accumulated. So again, we're going to try to get out and beat the street sweepers out there and get the heavy garbage and things off the on lawns and in the parks. And I hope to see you there. Again, it's at April 12th, 12 p.m., and we're meeting at Dr. Dennison. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Broom-Plumley.
Do you know an athlete or team who should be recognized? We want to hear from you. The Newmarket Sports Hall of Fame is accepting nominations for the class of 2015. Don't delay. The deadline is tomorrow. Tuesday, March 31st. Applications are available at the Newmarket Sports Hall of Fame in the lower level of the Magna Center, 800 Mulock Drive. Alternatively, you may email dsheridan@newmarket.ca. In addition, Ward 6 and 7 community drop-in is scheduled for Wednesday, April the 15th, between 7 and 9 p.m. here at the municipal offices, 395 Mulock Drive in Kane, Room A and B. Topics will include budget, the Emerald Ash Borer, and water changes. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bazans?
Thank you. The Town of Newmarket's annual spring food drive is underway. Until April 12, 2015, donations of powdered milk, canned meats and vegetables, pasta sauce, juice boxes, jam, peanut butter, baby formula, and other non-perishable food items can be dropped off here at the municipal offices at 395 Mulock Drive, at Rate 20 Recreation Complex, 100 Eagle Street West, or at the Magna Center, 800 Mulock Drive. We thank you very much for giving back and helping to fill the shelves of the Newmarket Food Pantry and support those in need.
Thank you. Newmarket celebrates the Arts Gala. Takes place on Friday, May the 1st at 6 p.m. at Pickering College. Support the arts in our community by buying a ticket to the gala. See some of our great talent that we have right here. Call 905-895-5193, extension 2002 to reserve your ticket, or you can order online at newtix.ca. The town offices will be closed for Easter beginning Friday, April the 3rd, and will reopen on Tuesday, April the 7th, and our next council meeting is on Monday, April the 20th. New business. Any items of new business? Councillor Bazance, then Councillor Twinney, and then Councillor Carlin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My item is with respect to the lessons learned session that we had discussed for the Glenway issue, and we had received a commitment that there would be a plan in place, or that we would be looking at hearing about a plan and next steps for the lessons learned session by the end of first quarter. So I was just wondering what the status is of that, and what we can expect in terms of the lessons learned process.
Mr. Nohammer?
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor. Certainly, Councillor Bazance, staff are well aware of the follow-up actions with respect to convening a facilitated workshop or facilitated meeting on the lessons learned topic of the Glenway project and the hearing. We committed to a spring facilitated session, and in consultation with staff, I will be working with them to try and arrange for such a meeting to be convened. My estimate would be sometime in May, and at the latest early June, but we will be requiring a facilitator, so we'll be working to try and secure the service of facilitator, and then work through the process of identifying those who should be in attendance at the lessons learned workshop. So, and I'd certainly like to work with you as the ward councillor and any other members of council who are interested in formulating the agenda and the topic for that session.
Good. Thank you. Councillor Twinney.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. I have a question for staff, and it was a resident that brought this forward to me, and I was just wondering if staff, what it is the city of Hamilton and other cities across actually North America have taken part in a third-party homeowner service line warranty program, which basically is a warranty program that covers, I guess, the area underneath from their home to the municipal property line to cover any breakages in sewer and water lines, because I believe that the residents are responsible for that. I don't know, through Mr. Mayor, as staff, have we ever looked at a program of such? Is this something that we've ever looked at?
Mr. Nohammer?
I'm not personally familiar with that, but it's something that I can research more, or prepare some information and get back members of council on.
Okay, so perhaps I have quite a bit of information. I'll
Yep.
pass it on to you, and then if
Thank
it's
you.
something that maybe we can talk further about, and maybe in the future, maybe look at doing a motion to perhaps look at that. But I will pass it on. I just wanted to know if we've ever looked at it ourselves. So.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Kerwin.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have 3 items. Number 1, through you to our commissioner. With regard to the sports turf, working with the York Region District School Board, do we have any idea where it might possibly be located? And if so, are there lights in place at this point at the sites that we're looking at?
Mr. McDougall.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Kerwin, there is a report going to come back to the April 13th Committee of the Whole, but specifically the location the school board's identified is Denison High School. Okay. There is not presently lights in place. That would be one of the things that would need to be discussed, and we need to have public consultation. The site itself and the location of the sports field is actually a preliminary review quite conducive to supporting the turf and the lights and the other amenities surrounding it, but that would be subject to obviously to public consultation if and when that advances further through the process.
Great, thank you. The other one I raised earlier, and I thank the staff for this report that we have before us with regard to the post office, Canadian corporation, and it's quite a controversial issue, particularly in the older parts of town where people have always had mail delivery, and that is to where the super mailboxes are going to be placed. Quite frankly, no one wants them near their place, although there are criteria that are set out there, and they don't want them near their place for many reasons. The graffiti, the carbon monoxide fumes, the litter, dogs and so forth, and they become really unsightly. And Canada Post has had a reputation, at least as far as I'm concerned, of not removing the graffiti from their super mailboxes or wherever they have a location with due diligence. And they certainly don't clean up the litter. The other item is who's responsible for the snow removal. If they're in front of a sidewalk where there's no snow plowing, who's responsible for cleaning the snow in front of those super mailboxes? Because one of the criteria is that they be placed before a sidewalk. So it's one of my concerns. So I'm just mentioning that I am being proactive. I'm meeting with Canada Post on April the 7th at 10 a.m. and I'm walking through my ward and looking at where they're identifying putting those super mailboxes. So in essence, and I'm sure other members of council are faced with this as well, no one wants the post office or the super mailboxes close to their home. So there's a lot of opposition. So you think of a positive solution, and I'm going to suggest to it. Many years ago, we went and we picked up our mail in a central location, and that central location could be located in different wards, and it brings people into the retail malls and so forth, but it eliminates the graffiti, it eliminates the litter, it eliminates the dogs using those to do their business. So I'm going to be suggesting something we did back in the 50s, and that is you go to one central location, and I believe that within a few years from now, those super mailboxes will be redundant. They won't be used anymore. All of us are getting their paychecks by email and so forth, and the quantity of mail is just decreasing absolutely rapidly. So it's a positive suggestion, and if people have any input, they can phone me or meet me at my home or in the library. I'd greatly appreciate some input because it's become a very controversial issue. The second one is litter, and that's the newspaper. I walk along Gorham Street and I see this newspaper in yellow bags all over the place. They're blowing. I live at the end of Sutherland, and they're all blowing down to my driveway. I get 15 newspapers on Sunday because they're light, they're in a yellow paper, and if it's windy, they all blow down the street. And other people are faced with this. So I would like the staff to look into the avoidance of litter. Just dropping off the paper by car at the end of a driveway isn't suitable. And not only that, it complicates Green for Life because this paper is in the yellow jacket. And often people just pick up all that garbage in front of their place, which is a newspaper, and they drop it in the yellow bucket. Green for Life doesn't pick it up because it's contaminated. It's plastic, and plastic is not allowed in the blue box. So it's becoming, I think, and I walk the town all the time. I walk into work, and I walk home, and I walk through different areas, and I walk through different wards. It's just not my ward. There is an enormous, and Mr. Hempen is having a cleanup, and I imagine, Mr. Hempen, that what you will find is a lot of newspapers in yellow jackets, and you'll be picking up that. And it just complicates recycling. So if our staff could bring back a report to eliminate undue litter within the town of Newmarket, I think it would make our town a lot cleaner. Even walking home on 600 Gorham, I looked on the lawn, there were 18 newspapers in plastic wrappers. 18 on one piece of property. So I think we have to find a better way to improve and reduce the amount of litter within our town.
Thank you. Councillor Hempel.
Thank you, and thank you for the plug again for the ward cleanup. You're welcome to come. I see Chris is in the audience, and Chris, maybe you could come out and give us a hand. It's April the 12th at 2 or 12 p.m. So look forward to seeing as many people as possible. I wanted to talk about the discussion. Councillor Kerwin brought up the issue of the artificial turf field. And I know that we have money set aside of about $1 million from developers. And what was the price? I did get a chance to watch the stream the meeting on the 23rd. What was the contribution from the school going to be? From Denison?
Mr. McDougall?
Yeah. Through Mr. Mayor to Councillor Hempen. Right now, and it's subject to, there is no design been done, there's no pricing been done, but both the municipality and the school board are looking at a $1 million contribution each, so a $2 million project.
So $1 million from the school board and $1 from the development charges that we have.
And the scope that's initially being looked at is a artificial turf sports field, as well as a track, and then a small field house that would go with it. So again, and then lighting as well. So again, it's preliminary in its discussion. There'll be a report coming back with a little bit more detail at the April 13th Committee of the Whole.
Thank you. Thank you. And I wanted to bring forward, maybe it's, I missed the notices of motion, but I'm going to bring forward a notice of motion and let my colleagues know that today we had our second strategic priority meeting, facilitated meeting. And I'm going to be bringing forward a motion that will ask that on our first strategic priority of council, that be recorded, archived, and live streamed, that when we have our future strategic priorities, so that the public can see what each individual was.
The second one was.
The second was today, sorry, and the first one took place maybe about a month ago. Yeah. But the motion that I'll be bringing forward will be that we record, stream, and archive that meeting so that the public can see what individual councillors' strategic priorities are for this community. And I think it's very open, it's very transparent. It'll give councillors, I know it may be difficult for new councillors coming in, but it'll give them an opportunity to think about what's important to them and what's important to the community for them. So that's the motion I will be bringing forward.
Good. Thank you. In addition to that, it also shows the progress that we're making in building consensus and recognizing that priorities, we can't do them all, and that we all work together and try to accomplish a shared vision of the community. So that's
Agreed.
Also a good example
Agreed.
as well.
Sorry, just one more point. Today's meeting was streamed and was recorded, and it is available for members of the community to see on our website. But our first one was not recorded because it was off-site. So hopefully in future we can have that first meeting right here in this chamber or somewhere where it can be recorded.
Thank you.
Just for clarification. Sorry if I didn't explain it properly.
No problem. Councillor Kerwin?
Yes, just to reiterate, Mr. Mayor, I was at the first strategic priority meeting at the Ops Center, and I was there this morning from 9 until 9:45, and then I had to leave for the Ontario Municipal Board meeting, which is held here in the Kane Room. And then I came back, unfortunately, just for the adjournment. So it's not as if I missed the strategic priority. It's, people should know where they are. In the same way with the planning, we reconvened at 1 o'clock and I was there until 5 o'clock. And that'll be the same with Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, Mr. Mayor. You don't want to miss meetings, but there are certain meetings that you're required to be there for your constituents. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Mr. Sheldon.
Mr. Mayor, just going back to the new business item that is on the screen here, and that is, I think there was a motion that we would like to get council's position or direction on, and that is that staff provide a report on litter mitigation measures that may be implemented in the town. So if that is something that council is asking.
I don't believe that was a motion. You're suggesting that we call for a motion?
Yes, I think if we would need a motion on that, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Councilor
we would
Curran,
ask for one.
I guess it's because it's going to be committing resources. Would you like to move that?
I would move that, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Do we have a seconder for that? Okay. Do we have a seconder for that? Maybe we can come to it from a different tact.
That's fine.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so that deals with new business. There will be a closed session following this council meeting, and that closed session will relate to litigation before the Ontario Municipal Board and legal advice regarding 536 and 550 Mulock Court. And we'll be receiving legal advice. Confirmatory bylaw? Who wants to move the confirmatory bylaw? No, that's a separate special council meeting, yep. Okay, thank you. Councillor 20 seconded. All those in favor? Great. No addendums. Motion to adjourn. Councillor Bizance, seconder. Councillor Vey. All those in favor? That is carried. We're adjourned.